175-pound bear.
Yes.
And it ate how much cocaine?
50 kilos.
So it ate 110 pounds of cocaine.
Yep.
That somehow was like drug smugglers dropped off in a little plane or something and went on a rampage.
And so
it sounds fantastic.
And that is the entire premise of the film, by the way. It's just a bear gets into some coke and goes on a blood-fueled rampage.
Yeah, and it's based on a true story. I'm pretty sure the bear in real life killed like 3 or 4 people.
Did it, actually? I don't remember.
No.
I don't think so. It probably just had a heart attack and died. But,
Dude, you can't consume 2/3 of your body weight in cocaine. That's outrageous. Wild times. Yeah, man.
Woo! In the studio, this is Peter's living room, which
Yes,
is a
it is.
studio for us.
Yeah, it's a studio.
It's the formal living room.
It is. It's true.
He's one of those fancy guys who has a huge house and 2 living rooms.
He's very, very affluent, so he has
He's extremely
many.
wealthy.
It's really nice in here, and we never use it. I feel
It actually is really nice in here, and I'm glad we use it for this. This is podcast number
107?
107. 107 podcasts that we've done now. I am your host, Forrest Galante, the broologist. Joining me, as always, the one and only Charlie.
Woof.
On my left here, I have Mr. Patrick DeLuca.
Hello.
The producer himself.
Yeah.
What's going on, Pat?
Dude, happy to be here in person with you. Happy to see the mullet in person.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's getting long in the back.
It sort of changes the way you feel about someone.
Yeah. Do I look
Yeah.
trashier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That was like there wasn't a lot of depth to go to from where I was at before. So that's,
Right.
yeah, that's nice. And why don't you introduce Peter?
Next to
hates
me
me.
on
Next
my
to me.
left,
Yeah, let's
camera
do that.
right.
Camera right.
Ritep.
That's how I do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here, too.
Professor.
I'm here every day. So happy to be here with you gentlemen today.
Good. That's
So-
nice.
Ritep, tell us what it's like to have a formal living room.
I mean,
What do you guys
you're
do
sitting
in
in
here?
it. This is what it is.
How often do you actually spend time in this room?
Less than 1%
Yeah.
of total time.
Yeah.
Even though it's right by the front door.
And
You
it's
just
also
walk
the
right by it.
largest
Yeah.
portion of the house.
There's
Yeah.
no, you know why? Because there's no TV in here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're looking at a TV.
When I'm looking at I thought this thing was a prop. But like, it's
You are
funny because
sick.
we're looking at, me and my
yeah,
wife
I'm
are
gonna
looking at,
hack up a lung.
Yeah,
on
no
this
shit.
podcast, Just FYI.
my wife and I are looking at houses right now, and like 85% of the fucking houses you go to look at have this formal living room, this extra area where
Yeah.
you're like, that is such a waste. I would have rather had another bedroom, another
100%.
bathroom.
No
we'll
one goes
never
there.
use it.
If it's not directly attached to your kitchen, it will not be touched.
That's
Correct.
Will not even be
Except
looked
2
at.
days a year.
Yeah.
3 maybe
Yeah.
if you celebrate Easter.
Well, for us, Peter bought this house knowing that we needed a podcast space.
Yeah, exactly.
We no longer
Yeah.
pay rent on a podcast studio, and we have this lovely space.
Yeah, it's
So
fantastic.
It does work
Exactly.
out.
We have a
It
mobile
does
podcast studio.
work out.
Indeed. What are you up to, Forhost? Did we introduce what the show is?
For host.
I don't know. Everybody knows. Well, not everybody knows, because we have 175,000 YouTube subscribers as of the minute that we're doing.
And I would say the vast majority subscribed in the last 2 months.
I know. So they actually
yeah.
don't all know. So if you're new, welcome. Go back. There's 106 other episodes to watch. Don't.
Oh, they're great.
Just listen to
Yeah,
them.
just-
Dude, I've
listen
gotten
to
a
it.
lot of messages from new brosteners who are like, I just binged it.
Oh, I know. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I had people tagging me. You know how towards the end of the year you get your like Spotify most played, Apple most played?
Yeah.
I had people tagging me being like, oh, this is my most listened to thing, 1,000 hours of your
nice.
garbage show.
I got a message as well from a guy named Dylan Christensen, which I think is actually a pseudonym for my ex-wife. Because
Okay.
she actually said this to me verbatim while
Oh
we
my
were
God.
married.
Kyle, can you pull this up? You know what he's going to do, right? He's texted to us 5 times.
So it was a public comment on the YouTube, and it reads, "Am I the only one who fucking hates Peter? He literally brings nothing to the podcast. I don't understand why he's on the podcast. I wish the guy came with a mute button." So thank you, ex-wife. I know that's you. There's no way an actual person feels that way about me who I've never encountered with.
It's
engaged with.
impossible that anyone could feel that way.
But I do wish I had a mute button. It'd be nice.
Your current wife wishes you had a mute button.
Am I the only one who fucking hates Peter?
That's so funny.
I don't think that's very nice.
No.
Well, not compared to the ones I've seen of you guys, but yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't tell you.
Oh, are
or
there
bring them
terrible
up.
ones of us too?
Yeah.
Of course.
There's tons of...
Anytime you have 100,000 plus people that have the ability to comment at free will, unchecked.
Someone's gonna despise either your face, your voice,
No matter
something you
what.
said.
Well, here's the thing about this one. I got it yesterday. It was emailed to me as a notification from YouTube. And I was already having a shitty day just because. And then I get this fucking message, and I'm just like, man, I'm not going to let it affect me. I don't give a shit.
So you have three choices in that scenario.
Hold on. I'm
Okay,
not going to let
sorry.
it affect me. I don't give a fuck.
And yet we're still talking about it.
No, and then I'm good for like 2 hours. By the end of the day, I was literally searching for this guy on Google, trying to figure out who he is.
He doesn't know that you're like a hacker guy. Like you're gonna track
Hacker guy.
him/her down and
Watch
give
out,
them the
Dylan.
people's elbow, Dylan.
you.
I'll tell
Dylan.
you. Can I tell the fantasy football story?
I think so. I don't even know what it is, but yeah.
That means
When,
yes.
when you hacked the...
Yeah, you have to tell. it.
So Peter was really mad because the commissioner of his fantasy football league did something to him, and I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Like vetoed a
Do
trade.
you remember what it was, Peter?
I don't remember.
It was
No.
like he vetoed a trade or something, like stupid fantasy football
Sure,
shit.
sure.
And Peter was just steaming. We were working on this National Geographic show, and I go into his AE fucking room, and he's just like steaming mad. He's like, yeah, guess what I just did? And he fucking hacked into the commissioner's thing.
No way.
The commissioner
Hacked.
portal. Went in and just dropped all the players off the commissioner's team.
No way.
But here at the Wild Times, we like to
times.
talk about things wildlife related. Those
Yes.
who don't know, Forrest is a wildlife biologist.
Sometimes.
I'm a producer who works in the field.
Yep.
And Retep's the everyman who
I'm
gives us
nobody.
that perspective.
No, I'm nobody.
And Kyle, the producer, is just kind of an outdoorsy guy.
He is. And his mustache is getting thicker finally.
Nah, it's not. It's not
Still-
looking.
He's still very young,
Pencil
fresh.
thin. So we do talk about wildlife and what's going on in the world in this podcast. So, you know what we haven't done in a little bit? Let's get into a segment. What's in the news?
What's in the news?
Yeah, baby. This is where I get my encyclopedic knowledge of wildlife and animals, which I
So-
had zero before.
I saw something interesting in the news.
What do you got?
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Discovered in the deep sea, of course, that's where we discover everything.
Yep.
The longest living animal in the world.
As in, it lives the longest, or it is physically the
It is
longest?
physically the Sorry, that's a very good point. I worded that terribly.
Okay.
It is the longest animal on Earth in
The
length.
longest
Wow.
animal.
Yes.
But not the biggest.
Nope, but the longest.
Okay, what do we got?
So off the west coast of Australia,
Of course it's there.
a 45 meter, not foot, 45 meter long deep sea siphonophore. So like a jellyfish, basically.
Okay.
45 meters long. Just imagine this giant string of jellyfish.
How
chain.
long is a meter for us? that
3.5
don't know?
3.5 feet.
So we're looking at 135. We're looking at 157 feet.
That's math.
Yeah.
That's
157 feet long.
Living animal.
How long's a school bus, Kyle? That is
It's going to be 40 feet, I'm guessing.
35.
35 feet.
So we're talking about basically 5 school buses.
That's
long.
a very long
What is this
animal.
thing? What's a
Yeah, so
siphonophore?
siphonophore, it's a filter feeding jellyfish, right? So it's like when you see salps or things like that. Oh, Kyle's got a video up of it on the screen here. And so what it is it's actually really interesting. A lot of these siphonophores, jellyfish, these gelatinous deep sea creatures are actually multiple living organisms that are linked. So this could actually be millions of living organisms that are living right next to each other. And I'm not sure. I don't think they know because they just have video footage of it. But
Right.
like there's things like salps. Kyle, if you just Google salp, SALPS, that are whole colonies of living jellyfish that come together to form one giant organism. So like look there with the diver.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
see that those are all different living organisms, but they link up to make one gigantic organism. Now I've seen salps that are 5, 8, 6 feet long, whatever. But to have one that's 45 meters long, 160 foot long is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, with the salps, what's the benefit to the salps? Is this how they reproduce, or like do they exchange nutrients Why do they do this?
That's a good question. I actually don't know what the benefit is. I mean, maybe Kyle can look it up. But I mean, it makes sense in the sense of you're a very soft, fragile, gelatinous creature. You're filter feeding and getting, zooplankton and algae from the sun in the ocean. And so in order to not just be demolished by a fish's fin or gobbled up by anything, if you sort of link up and group together, it's not just the safety in numbers, but it just sort of makes you a larger mass and less likely to just be destroyed. But I don't know if that's exactly why.
Yeah, it says they synchronize when threatened by predators or strong waves and currents.
Yeah, there you go. But it just makes sense. I mean, they're literally like, I've been in places, I don't even like to admit this, where you're diving and the kelps are so thick, like you push your hand and you like destroy like 4 of them, right? Mm-hmm. But when they're all linked together, they're much more, it's like taking a twig and snapping it, easy, stack a bunch of twigs, you can't break it, right?
So they found this 170 foot creature 2,000 feet down in an underwater canyon off the coast of Western Australia. For those who are only listening, it just looks like a thin white rope that's all swirled up.
Yep.
Just kind of floating there.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty amazing. And the other thing that's interesting about deep sea siphonophores, because they are filter feeders, there's much less to eat down there. So it sort of begs the question, because, siphonophores, they're eating zooplankton and algae, right? Which is a product of the sun and photosynthesis. So if you're in the deep sea, it's very interesting to think, how do you get something that's that huge, that's being biosustained in that depth without, solar interaction? So maybe that has a vertical migration. Maybe that giant thing comes up during the day and sinks at night.
Right.
Who knows? But it is really interesting.
So it's interesting, though, that there's less food down there, but things like sperm whales dive really deep to feed. Giant squid live really deep.
Yeah.
So there are maybe a lot of fish down there, a lot of stuff to eat for larger predators, but for these things,
undeniably, there's a whole ecosystem down there, and I mean, there's a massive ecosystem just based on dead stuff that sinks to the depths, like dead whales and things that sink down and bring nutrients. So, if you think about like the surface of the ocean, and you think about all the sun rays hitting the ocean, anytime any of those zooplankton, algae, phytoplankton die, they sink down because they stop swimming. And so if you ever look at deep sea footage, it often looks like it's snowing. And what that snowstorm look is actually dying and sort of congregating mass of bionutrients coming from the surface and sinking down into the deep ocean, which is actually, it's not as bioavailable because it's dead and it's rotted and, it's not as abundant and lively as it is on the surface where there's photosynthesis, but there is this sort of snowstorm of micronutrients available down there, which has formed a whole ecosystem. And until the 80s or 90s, I forget, we thought every ecosystem, every form of life known to man was founded by the sun. And then we discovered hydrothermal vents in those ecosystems. We're like, oh, there's a whole nother type of life down here that doesn't require sun energy.
Right. Which is fucking crazy because they survive off the methane, right, that comes up?
Correct, yeah. The heat generated from the methane and just that whole thing. But it also sort of changed our understanding of life as we know it, because we always looked at life, like extraterrestrial life, aliens, as being like, if the planet's in a certain way, there's no way it could support life because it doesn't have sun, it doesn't have photosynthesis, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Life can evolve completely independently of photosynthesis.
Right. Well, what do you think you'd be more interested in if you got to see one of these two things happen in your lifetime? They discover a deep sea creature that is like twice as big as a blue whale. That's like some crazy thing. It's a predator. It's got big teeth. Doesn't look like anything known right now.
The Meg.
It's essentially a megalodon, but it's got octopus arms. It's fucking, it's the craziest thing ever.
Okay.
They discover that, or in your lifetime, UFO comes down, lands, little green alien fellas walk out.
Well, I know Peter's answer.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously it'd be way more insane for the alien to come down.
Okay.
Is it? Is that more insane?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
than a mega predator in the deep ocean?
It involves changing our entire understanding of physics, so...
But we know we don't know, but we also do. We don't know, but we know that there's other life. We just don't know how far. What do you mean?
Well, because,
let me ask you that again.
Because if an alien form came to Earth in some kind of a craft, that defies the laws of gravity as we know it, for example, which is how most theories think that aliens do get here. It's more than just discovering another biological creature that's under the sea. In my opinion, my professional opinion.
What do you go for?
I'd rather see the giant deep sea
the
predator,
giant megalodon
for
with
sure.
octopus arms?
Yeah,
Why?
for sure.
Why? What's your reasoning?
Just, it's dope.
An alien wouldn't be dope? Come on.
What if it's this megalodon, it's the size of 2 blue whales, it's got octopus arms.
Yeah.
It dies and somehow floats to the surface for whatever reason. They cut it open to see what it's been eating, and they realize it only eats humans.
Then I like it even more. That's like the
And they were
coolest
like,
thing ever.
100% of people who have ever gone missing in the ocean were
Or
eaten
from
by
that
this
thing.
creature.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's not only is that
I might
great.
take that, yeah.
It's a
Still the
great, it's a
alien.
great movie premise. Like,
Great movie
everything.
premise. All right, let's talk about movie premises.
Aliens
here.
aren't a good movie premise. You're right.
No, there's never been a good one.
Never been a
I'm
good
looking
movie.
at an alien right now. Peter's cat has been shaved except
Wait,
for its
where is
face.
she? Oh my
There it is.
goodness. Oh yeah.
Sammy,
come here. Nope.
she'll just sit up there and watch. Yeah, I mean, it happened. She got all mad, or he got all matted up. You got to shave.
But you didn't have to get him the lion
The
cut where
lion
he's got
cut's
little
pretty
boots.
aggressive.
Well, he looks ridiculous if you just get him shaved without the line.
No,
cut.
right now he doesn't at all. He doesn't look ridiculous.
He would look more ridiculous than that. Trust me, he'd look as bad as you do.
So just when we were waiting for Kyle, Forrest brought up to us a movie that's coming out
Oh yes. Yes.
called Cocaine Bear. This is a real movie.
Real movie.
Directed by Elizabeth Banks.
It's already my favorite movie, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
The premise is very simple.
Very simple.
Which I think is based on a real story that Peter reminded me we did actually discuss on the pod at some point. So maybe a Brostener can comment in the comments on this video as to what episode, because
But
God
it was
knows we don't
a
remember.
175-pound bear,
Yes.
and it ate how much cocaine?
50 kilos.
So it ate 110 pounds of cocaine.
Yep.
That somehow was like drug smugglers dropped off in a little plane or something and went on a rampage.
And
It sounds fantastic.
And that is the entire premise of the film, by the way. It's just a bear gets into some coke and goes on a blood-fueled rampage.
Yeah, and it's based on a true story. I'm pretty sure the bear in real life killed like 3 or 4 people.
Did it? Actually? I don't remember.
No.
I don't think so. It probably just had a heart attack and died. But
Dude, you
pretty
can't
sure.
consume 2/3 of your body weight in cocaine. That's outrageous.
So it's like kind of a Sharknado comedy type
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
It's not like a drama,
in
is
the
it?
trailer I saw, I'm sure we can't play it because we'll be shut down on YouTube. But
Immediately.
In the trailer I saw, there's like a kid in a tree and he's like, hey, there's a bear over there. And the guy's like, yeah? The kid's like, the bear's fucked. So it's like, they've taken a very like...
The bear's yacked out of its gourd.
Yeah.
They've taken a fun approach. Look at the photo. Kyle, go to the photo on the left, second one down. Yeah, that. That's not snow.
That's like...
Dude. But it made me think of like, in like the Florida Keys, there's something called a square grouper, which is like, the drug smugglers
drop the bales of coke
Yeah,
over the boat.
shrink-wrapped
Have you
coke.
heard about this, Peter?
No, I don't know. I haven't heard.
Can I explain it?
Yeah.
So in the Keys, they smuggle in tons of, it used to be pot, but pot's now like kind of whatever, but pot and coke from Cuba and Colombia and Central America. And what they do is they'd run up in these like massively overpowered pangas boats at night and drop overboard a big square bale. Mm-hmm. And they got called square groupers. Groupers are a type of fish. So they go on the radio and be like, hey, there's a grouper over here, square grouper, and that was like the code. So I'm sure I'm kind of butchering it in Florida. People will get on me for it. But square grouper is the code for a square bale of drugs floating offshore in the Keys.
Because it kind of looks like a group, looks like a grouper. So I'm like, cocaine shark.
Yeah.
You have to make this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
A shark thinks there's a grouper.
Yep.
Thinks it's a
Eats
grouper.
it.
Eats 30 pounds of coke and just goes mental.
Just you see its eyes roll back in its head, and it's just like,
Oh, guess what? It's also spring break.
of course, yeah, it has to be, yeah.
It's like a more interesting version of Jaws.
Way more interesting.
Also, it'd have to be like the sequel to this now because it's not original anymore.
Okay, while we're on this topic, we were on What's in the News, and there's plenty more news. We can circle back. Have you guys watched the new Netflix Wednesday series yet?
I watched the first episode, yeah.
Couple episodes.
Perfect. That's all you need to have watched to dig into what I'm about to bring up.
Okay.
Wednesday Addams It's great, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's fun. It's like, it's not very Addams Family-y, but there's a lot of ties if you're like a 90s, 80s kid. Opening scene of the show, Wednesday Addams at public school. Her brother Pugsley's getting bullied by the water polo team.
Right.
Remember this?
Yeah, of course.
She takes
yeah.
2 bags of piranhas to the pool, dumps them in, and the piranhas, in a fantastic like CG nonsensey way,
Yeah.
chase down like the main bully and bite his genitals off.
I didn't see that part, but it's
You
great.
didn't see that part?
No, I was.
It was. I
catching
think
up.
it was like, yeah, it was like the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's how she gets sent to like the special
Okay.
school for misfits or whatever. But Peter, as the layman,
Sure.
you're on the water polo team. You look like a big feller. You look
Yeah.
like you could have played polo.
Fat, yeah.
Didn't used to be.
A small goth girl walks up to training,
Yep.
2 bags of piranhas in her hands, dumps them in the swimming pool. What are you doing?
I mean, I would try my hardest to grab her and throw her in. I would just be swimming.
Are you getting out of the pool at top speed? Like, what are
Yeah,
your
of
thoughts?
course. I'm swimming to the side as fast as fatly possible.
What do you think would actually happen?
I think it would. I mean, I don't know too much about piranhas, but I imagine they would bite your dick off.
Well, that's what they did in the series. What do you think, Pat?
I think they would possibly be fucked up by the chlorine and
Definitely.
very confused and like just fucking
But right
die.
away.
They would cower in fear in like the lower corner of the pool, probably in temperature shock from getting dumped in.
Right.
And then probably die in about 15 minutes.
Are you sure she didn't hold the bags in the water like you do when you get a new
Did
fish?
she floated them?
Yeah,
She's like,
just
oh,
like on
stay
the other
there.
side of
Hey,
the pool.
stay there, bully. I got to get them up to temperature.
Well, it's also possible that she went to the Amazon, found a stagnant pool.
True.
Where these piranhas hadn't eaten in a long, long time.
That's true. Now, yeah, see, now you're getting to the good part.
Yeah.
That's
If
right.
if you starved the piranhas, would it
So
make a
this is
difference?
the point. This is the point of the topic. It's really fun in Hollywood. Piranhas are not a dangerous fish. Asterisk, typically. Okay, and I think a lot of people don't know this because, look, there is the movie Piranha, which I think was spring break at Lake Havasu.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And Piranha 3D, which was fantastic.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah, it's always funny to me because there's always this idea that the piranhas are these deadly predators that'll rip you to shreds. I've gone swimming in the Amazon every single time I've gone there, and so does everybody. And it's not, the locals swim in the Amazon and everything. Piranhas have zero interest in picking you apart unless a very severe set of conditions are met, which I don't think we've ever discussed on the pod, which is kind of interesting. So the reason piranhas get this fearsome reputation is pretty cool. The Amazon's a floodplain, right, and a wetland. Every year the waters rise and they drop. And what happens is sometimes big storm, whatever, waters rise and then the water level drops and lots of like pools form with fish trapped in them, okay? And as the dry season goes on, the fish start eating each other and so on. And piranhas are predators, don't get me wrong. Like they'll eat anything when you're fishing for them. It's awesome. But they're not just like attack you and rip you to the bone.
Right.
But as the dry season comes along and the water level drops, all these fish get stuck in these pools and the piranhas pack up and start eating everything. Well, they get to a certain point where there's a whole school of piranhas. They've killed absolutely everything else in the pool and they are starving to death. And that's when, only a few times this has happened, a cow goes wandering into the pool, a human kid jumps in for a swim or something, and they're in such a state of starvation and they're in such a hyper state of competition with each other that they actually do go into a frenzy state where one will nip on something, blood will start from that area, and then they just go boom, 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 boom. And they have actually, Kyle, you might be able to find it actually, there was a 100% accurate instance of a cow getting stripped down to the bone. A live cow walked into a pool and they stripped this thing down to the flesh.
That's
so
crazy.
it does happen. It's real, is my point. But it's funny because typically, I mean, you go swimming in rivers all the time, full of piranhas. People keep piranhas as pets. You put your hand in there and clean the tank. It's
Where
not
are
like-
they? Where is it? Oh wow!
There you go. Look at that. Look at that.
Holy crap!
Poor.
So he's
poor
got
little
that.
babies.
He's got what, a lamb leg or something
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
there,
yeah.
or skull. It looks like he's holding the cow
horn.
skull, and look at the piranhas just boiling on it. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So where are piranhas mostly found? Are they like
The Amazon.
Just the Amazon? Nowhere else?
Just the
Gotcha.
Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not true. I mean, South America, but mostly the Amazon basin and like into the floodplains and stuff.
And fish tanks.
And fish tanks. And I can tell you, if you live in Santa Barbara, there are 2 giant red belly piranha that someone has let go in the Alice Keg Park in downtown Santa Barbara. I've seen them.
Really?
There. Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I don't know who got them. So there's this park. Google it real quick, Kyle. Let's see. Alice Keg Park, Santa Barbara. And it is an amalgamation of disaster of creatures. It's like the Florida of Santa Barbara. It's just like everything in this pond in the downtown city park of Santa Barbara. There are like 8 different turtle species. There's soft shell turtles, red ear sliders. I've seen map turtles, painted turtles, all kinds of shit that isn't native there.
Yeah.
There's pacu fish in there. There's piranhas in there. I've seen giant plecostomus, the big armored catfish. Everybody that has an aquatic pet in Santa Barbara, it's like, ooh, can't have this anymore, has dumped it in
Has
this
freed
pond.
it there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm surprised nobody steps in and is like, all right, let's get this sorted out.
They did at one point in time, and it's just sort of come back. Like, it's just like a known... Whoever the illegal fish keepers of Santa Barbara Club are, they keep going back there.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you guys. I saw a picture of this, and I wanted your take on it. What would be? I'm just gonna ask you a question. What would be the worst pet that a person could have?
To
like
keep
an aquatic pet.
or to free?
No, to keep and have as a pet. It's like an aquatic found in like swamps, lakes. I'm going to be even more specific.
Freshwater.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Aquatic
the worst pet that you
Like
could
for
have.
the owner or for the pet?
For the owner. For the owner.
Oh, okay.
And everybody who's around him. Okay.
Yeah, I know the answer.
Okay.
It's a freshwater river dolphin.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Ganges river dolphin.
Okay.
Like-
Kyle, see if you can find a picture of the guy who has a leech as a pet.
I mean, that's pretty disgusting, too.
It
Yeah.
is horrific. This just came out. I just saw it yesterday. He has got this giant leech
that-
just sucking his arm right here. That's the one. If you can make that big. And
I don't care for this.
look
No,
at
that's-
how disgusting this thing is. And he lets it feed off his own arm.
I don't
Does this
care.
guy have any friends or?
No, absolutely not. I don't
He
care much for
certainly
this.
doesn't have a companion.
This has got to be like unsafe, right? Or are leeches just okay to do this as long as they don't have diseases?
Well, yes, to that. I mean, I suppose in what quantity, right? You get anemic at a certain point. If you
He must be
blood
eating like 3
constantly.
steaks a day, this guy.
Yeah, but it's just gross. I mean, it's
That's
just gross.
fucking gross.
It's terrible, right?
It's
Worst
disgusting.
pet.
Like, look, if you told me you could have a jar with a big leech in it and like throw it a goldfish once in a while, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. You see it swim around, grab a goldfish. That's dope. If you're buddies with a leech and you pull it out and let it slurp onto your inner thigh while you sit and watch TV, you need to seek some help.
Right.
That's not right. That's not right. Is that... Go to the top left photo. Is that a leech? That can't be a leech. No, that's an anaconda.
A snake.
Okay.
But man, I didn't know they were so disgusting looking when it's all fat and full like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
there's
is
a lot of
gross.
different species of leech. Where do they get these really big ones? The only ones I've seen are the little guys.
I don't know where the largest species of leech comes from. I mean, the biggest ones I've seen are like that big.
Yeah.
I've never seen the like those ones. I know when I was in Istanbul. Where are they from?
Giant, of course,
Giant
the Amazon.
of course, yeah.
Either Florida or the Amazon.
That's probably a giant Amazon leech that get up to 18 inches long.
That's so gross.
Yeah,
The good thing
gross.
with those, though, is you can fucking see them.
Yes,
Right.
versus the little guys.
The
Yeah.
little guys that just somehow... It's like, I don't understand how leeches get to the places they get.
If
Inside
there's
your
inner
clothes.
ass
It's
crack.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I remember I was in Borneo. We were doing the Miller's Grizzled Langmuir episode, and I got back from hiking. We were hiking up and down the stream to set these trail cameras. I pulled my pant leg up, and I was the only one who hadn't tucked my pants into my socks.
Because you were on camera.
Because I was on camera, and it looks fucking really silly.
Doesn't look cool.
No, not cool at all. And I
No helmets?
I pulled my pant leg up, and it was just a black ring around the top of my sock of little tiny leeches, like little half-inch leeches.
Yeah.
And I was just like scratching them off like this. It bled all night. I woke
really?
up all night because they have
Right.
anticoagulant
Yeah,
in their
right.
saliva, and it wasn't like bad or painful or anything. It was just gross. Pulled like 35 leeches off between my two legs. All night long it bled because of the anticoagulant. I woke up, my sheets were soaked in blood.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
It was like sticking everywhere. I just it would not stop bleeding.
That's
Dude,
gross.
there is just something about them, too, when you when you have a leech on you, it gives you the willies in a way that's different than a bug crawling across your head or anything like that.
It's
just
a vampire. It's
right.
a real animal.
It's like a
fucking
silent.
gross, and the way they move, and they're feeding off you, and the little tails moving.
It is cool what they do with them for medicine. When I was in Istanbul, I was talking about the jar thing. That was where I saw that. And you walk through like the streets, the bazaars in Istanbul. I don't know if they're still like this. So I was there in 2009.
Great city, by the way.
It's my favorite city I've ever been to.
Yeah. Like everyone should go visit. It's amazing.
Agreed. Favorite city I've ever been to. But they had, in the bazaars, they'd had these jars with not those Amazonian giant, but leeches like this big, swimming around, like a dozen of them or so. And I assume they throw goldfish in once in a while or something, but they were medicinal leeches. And so if you had like a hematoma or, some kind of big thing, you just buy a leech and slurp it on and let it drain the blood from it, which...
Which sounds like just like an old school way of doing things, but it actually works, right?
Well, the maggot thing's very real, and they use that, like, do you know about that?
No.
I've heard, yeah.
Oh, so Kyle, Google, like, medicinal maggots. So if you have...
Medicinal maggots.
If you have an injury and it's going gangrenous, the only way...
Whoa, good
look
God.
at these. No, this is good. This is science.
Kyle can't look.
But this is
Nor
really...
can I.
I think this is amazing.
All right, we're done.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen it.
Go
I'll
to
never
more.
not
Go to the
see
foot.
it.
Go to the foot over there, Kyle. Make Patrick look at that. Oh,
You can't.
Yeah. He won't look.
Looks clean.
Kyle won't look. Nobody will
I'm
look.
looking.
Do we have a camera on Kyle? We don't. He's
Looks
like
real
almost
good
throwing
after
up.
the maggots
But here's
are-
what's so cool about it. Okay, we could take it off the screen. Maybe one more. Do you guys feel like spaghetti for lunch?
Gross. Lentils.
Here's what's so cool about the maggots. If you have a wound and it's gone gangrenous, right? So say you've been in the Amazon, you get an infection, it's gangrenous, and your flesh is rotting. You take harmful antibiotics, which, as we all know, like, antibiotics are not good for your system overall, right?
Sure.
Maybe or maybe not, it will cure it. Most of the time, if you're at the state of gangrenous, it will not cure it because you have a blood infection, which is a whole different problem. Humans can cut out the flesh, but you can never just get the rotten flesh. So say you have a hole in your leg, you have to cut out a much larger hole to get rid of the gangrene. Or you can use maggots, which will only unequivocally touch rotting flesh and leave nothing but the fresh flesh behind.
Wow.
So literally the best way, if you have a gangrenous wound, to have the least amount of damage to your body and the least amount of scar tissue is to use maggots. And all they do, they sterilize them, they clean them in labs, they breed them from flies in labs, and then they put them on these wounds, and the maggots will only eat the rotting flesh. They will not touch your clean organic flesh. And so you don't have a big knife carving out a giant chunk being like, oh, hope I got all the infection.
Yeah.
Like, it literally cleans it out to the perfect level.
That's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
You
And
just
there's
have to not
nothing that
look.
we have developed in modern medicine that can do that as well as the maggots can.
It's crazy. Yeah, look, I saw that picture that was up there. You could see the before and the after. It was completely clean of any.
Yeah.
It just looked like regular, nice, healthy tissue.
Good red meat.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah, so
gross.
leeches, gross. Don't get them as a pet.
Get maggots.
Disgusting.
Get maggots instead.
What else you guys got in the news? What have you been looking at?
Man, that was a long dog leg from what's in the news.
Yeah, but it's
That was in the news. That's fresh. That was just a picture from
The
yesterday.
wound was fresh.
Huh?
Yeah, the maggots were fresh.
Wildcats
Oh yeah.
going to be released potentially in England for the first time in 100 years. So a lot of people don't know this, but England, the United Kingdom, has a native species of cat, aka the wildcat. It's a beautiful, adorable. Kyle's going to pull up a picture here.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
the cutest. It's the cutest thing on the planet. Period.
I mean, clearly that is the foundation. So first of all, I mean, England is sort of, where all Western, the
Right.
United Kingdom is where all Western life sort of spread out from, right? We did that with cats and dogs. That's obviously the foundation of the modern house cat. Like,
Right.
look at it.
Right.
But yeah, so it's up in Scotland, and wildlife trusts are working to reintroduce wildcats. It's great. There's a lot of
They haven't
rewilding.
been there in the wild in like 500 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, 400 years.
Since the 16th century.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of rewilding happening in the United Kingdom. I was reading another article not too long ago about potentially reintroducing wolves in the United Kingdom, which haven't been there in a long time. They're going to
wow.
do that up in Scotland, and they want to bring elk back and all, or maybe it's Scottish moose. I can't remember, but there's a lot of rewilding going on in the UK. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
nice.
it's an island, so they did a good job wiping everything out there, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they're, like with all of these things, they're using parts of Scotland as like the test.
Yeah.
The testing
Yep.
grounds. It's interesting. I was just looking into, grizzly bear stuff.
Yeah.
And do you know there's only 3 states left in the U.S. that have grizzlies?
No, I didn't. Montana, Wyoming,
Idaho.
That's
it.
Interesting.
They used to be in 16 states. Now they're in 3. So they're down to 2% of their range that they once had. But there's some people that want to because Colorado was the last state to fall.
Yeah.
In the 70s. And, they're like, some people that they're like, yeah, we have all these fucking beautiful mountain ranges where they could live.
Why wouldn't we? Yeah.
Should we reintroduce the grizzly? And there seems to be no interest on the state just because they're like, it's like really densely populated and there's a lot of hikers that go up there. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's like, if you're going on a hike,
you've signed that mental waiver.
Yeah, you've signed the waiver. Like, grizzly bears should be in Colorado. I don't understand why not just reintroduce a small population of them there.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I think anywhere that humans have directly negatively influenced an animal's distribution, they should be put back if they can continue to survive there. Meaning, I don't think we should be introducing, elk in downtown Los Angeles because that's just a disaster. But, to put bears back in the Rockies is a good idea, in my opinion.
So some of the pushback in the UK with this wildcat thing is, and I don't quite understand why this is a big point of pushback, but the reservation is that there are so many domestic cats and feral cats.
Yeah.
That they don't want them to basically crossbreed and create hybridize.
Yeah.
Which I don't get why that's a huge problem if they hybridize.
Because, the problem is that it will ruin the pure genetics of the wildcats. So if you release a bunch of wildcats and then 3 generations from now, all they've done is crossbreed with domestic cats instead of each other, you don't have any more wildcats. You have some feral mongrel cat, which is not, actually meant to be there. So it is a fair concern. I think it should probably be done the way that the Tasmanian Devils has been done, where they have like a small area and they introduce them and make sure everything works and then spread it out and so on and so forth.
Right.
But it's cool. It's nice to see a Western country doing rewilding in a way with predators, because you don't see that a lot. Right. You see a lot of we brought lions back to this area of Africa that they were exterminated. It's like, well, yeah, of course, there's nobody living there and it's a big wild area and I get it, they were poached out. It's different from that to being like, okay, we're putting wolves back where Western people, actually are living and learning to live side by side with them.
Right.
I like that. I think that's great.
It's cool. It makes you think of what it would have been like to live 500 years ago, 600 years ago.
Exactly.
Where your interactions, living in a city, there's no threat of interaction with wildlife.
No, none
whatsoever.
Yeah.
The worst thing that's going to happen is a fucking peacock pecks your car when you park at the store in Santa Barbara.
Which I still owe you for, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. I mean, I'd like to see
You
these
actually have
cute
some
wild
encounters
cats.
with wildlife, though, pretty frequently over by your
He doesn't live in a city, though. He lives in the
Well,
suburbs.
I'm in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the coyotes, it is actually, but I will say it's one of the really nice things of moving from West Hollywood, which is like city,
Right.
to, 3 miles over the canyon. But but it is fun to be in the garage and see a coyote run down the street or
For sure.
just like raccoons and possums and shit.
Just some mysterious creature in your tree with eyes that are glowing.
Yeah.
It's like,
The possum, right?
this
Wasn't that the
is
possum?
wild
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I'm
like
still
that.
waiting on my praying mantis egg sac to hatch.
Did you move it from the screen door?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I was
That's fine.
actually going to ask you to come over and do it.
I can do that. That's fine.
I kind of have the willies about it.
How long does it take? I mean, is it viable?
Once it gets warm.
Yeah.
The mom died, so the mom is the praying mantis laid the eggs on my screen door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She hung out there for a bit and then
Yeah.
died.
Did we talk about this on the pod, or was this just you texting me? I don't remember.
It might have been a bonus pod, but we talked about
Okay.
he had a praying mantis on his
But
screen.
yeah, she died. She's just slowly turning gray.
Yeah.
I've left her there because I figure maybe at the very least they could eat her.
Yep. They should.
But I do kind of want it relocated because I don't know.
It's
on
kind
your
of
screen door.
Wednesday Addams-ish. Just leaving it
Yeah,
on
I
the
mean, at some
screen.
point it's going to get, as soon as it warms up, they're going to 200 praying mantises are going to hatch, and I'm going to be
You got a
dealing
couple
with them.
options here. Okay. Because your kid's really little, this is probably not the best option, but for my kid, who's 3, I would take a butter knife and gently scrape it off the screen door.
Okay.
And then put it in like a critter keeper with a bunch of leaves and stuff and wait for it to warm up and hatch and then go release the baby so my kid can see them hatch.
Yep. That's an option. No, that is an option. That's kind of cool.
And it's fun, you know, you get a little critter keeper, you know, make sure it's all sealed, but not air sealed, but like they're not going to explode in your living room.
Right.
Put some sticks in there and stuff. And, you know, a day after they hatch or two, go let them out in the woods somewhere.
Okay.
How many are in a sack? Is it really like 200
It's
or
like
is it
200?
200? Wow.
50 to 200 is like average.
Crazy.
But yeah, I mean, the life cycle of the praying mantis is fucking, you know, they say nature is metal. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it is gnarly, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like they live for a year.
Yeah.
It's all seasonal, right?
Yep.
So they don't hang out in the cold too much. They're born. Mm-hmm. The females make it to the time where they can mate.
Did you read about the next part that happens?
Like sometimes they'll like tear the head off and eat it of the male. Yep. But it's not any better for the female because then they lay the egg sac and that's the end of their life cycle.
Oh, they die right after, huh?
Pretty
Yeah,
soon thereafter. Once it
obviously.
gets cold, they die.
Yeah, you don't see. I feel like I don't see that many praying. I've only seen like 3 or 4 in my entire life. It's weird that they have like 200, but I rarely
They're
see
around.
them.
They're
yeah,
around.
I mean, yeah.
We had a neighborhood bully growing up, and I was like cool with him because I could read and he couldn't, and so I would like read comic books to him and shit.
Wow, that is
So I was safe.
movie premise.
But I like walked over. I saw him doing something in his driveway a few houses down. I walked down. He's got a fucking praying mantis and a pair of tweezers. We were probably 12.
Yeah.
And a pair
Yeah.
of tweezers, and he's lighting its head on
I
fire.
hate
Psycho.
that shit.
And like, you're fucking 12 at that point.
Yeah.
Like this is who you are.
Right.
Like you're
Right.
gonna fucking cut the head off of a woman.
Yeah, you're going to
Oh,
grow
God.
up to
You're
be
gonna
that
kill-
guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's still in my hometown. I think
Yeah.
he works at the nuclear
I have
plant.
a really.
He works where?
At the nuclear plant.
Oh
Yeah.
my!
Yeah.
Fucking Homer Simpson over here.
Yeah.
I've got a really like vivid, terrible memory of when I was pretty young. I want to say I was like 7 or 8. There was a frog caught in this like little thing. I don't know what it was, but it was trying to get out, and I was with some of the older
Oh,
kids.
frog trap?
No, it was like a thing, like I don't know if it was like an electrical junction box or something.
Okay.
But he was in there, and I still to this day, it pops in my head, and I just feel horrible about it. But the bigger kids were like poking it with a stick and like pushing it down. And like I hated it, but I stayed there because I wanted to like fit in with the bigger kids.
Right.
And to this day, like I beat myself up. Like I should have fucking saved that frog.
But you know what? And look, there's not enough wildlife left for us to learn this way. But you learned about yourself that day, the same as Patrick did,
Right.
which is that you're not going to be that person. And I think that that's important. I mean, I think every kid listening to this, you know, every person listening to this probably had a similar experience as a kid at some point. And I think it's cool because you actually, sometimes it takes that experience if you're not raised with a parent teaching you like the morality of right and wrong with animals and torture and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it takes that experience for you to go, okay, I did that thing. I tortured that frog, or I saw that praying mantis get ripped to shreds or whatever. I never want to be that person. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And,
I didn't like that.
And I feel like
Right.
it has to, like, it sort of has to happen for you to know it. Like, it's not something that you just sort of know.
Yeah,
And
you learn it. You
Oh my
learn it.
God.
You learn
Dude,
it.
like
Yeah.
just trying to teach my 20-month-old to be gentle with the cat.
Exactly.
It's like not the nature of a 20-month-old human
Right,
to
to be
like
gentle.
gently interact. It's
Right.
to rip its fucking tail
I am
off.
not
Totally.
looking forward to that phase.
Oh, yeah,
man.
good luck.
Oh,
But it's
God.
funny. I'm like, you're so sweet, but you want to
Murder the cat.
use your
Yeah.
hands
Yeah.
to eviscerate that cat into shreds.
Yep.
Eviscerate and eat, by the way. Just put it in your mouth.
Yeah. All right. So, podcast 107. We always said this was going to be like a special one.
Oh, always, yeah.
Yeah.
Day one, I was like, hey, when we get to 107. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we should go back to the old school classic games.
Battle Royale.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Let's do it. For what? Nice. All right, I got it. We were talking about the maggots, using them for gangrenous wounds and
Yes.
leeches for bloodletting in
Indeed.
Istanbul.
Indeed.
I have an idea here.
Okay.
All right. You're in the we all go in the field to shoot a pilot for the Wild Times adventure show.
Yep.
Okay.
Love it.
You are tasked with, we've set up a base camp in a very, very remote area.
Okay.
We forgot to bring a medic,
Oh,
unfortunately. So each of us has been tasked with setting up like the medical triage station.
Okay.
You're like the field doctor.
Got it.
You get to pick 3 animals
Okay.
to help you out. It could be for medicinal purposes.
Yep.
Could be for just an assistant.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to take off the table any primate.
Fair.
All mine were going to be primates. That's
Yeah. We know.
Yeah,
We
that's
know.
terrible.
I saw that look in your
Yeah.
eye.
Gorilla, orangutan.
And a rhesus monkey.
Yeah.
So no monkeys of any kind. You need 3 creatures to help you have the most robust. Because a lot of people are getting hurt on this shoot.
Of course. It's us.
It's going to
outside.
be. It's basically just getting really, really drunk and then interacting with animals. So it's going to be a lot of bites and scratches.
So it's Andrew Eucl's show.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, Peter, you go first. Snake draft.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
to
this is
Google.
definitely going to put on display
No,
my
Googling.
lack of
fine.
animal
Kyle's gonna
knowledge.
have to look it up for me.
Okay.
If I can't Google, you're certainly not
Fair,
Googling.
fair.
I'm going to have to go, and I know everybody's going to hate it because I always use him, but I love him. I'm going to go with an octopus because he's smart, and he can put his tentacles outside of the water and give me extra hands.
I was going to say, because if you're doing a surgery,
Exactly.
Eight arms is a lot of arms to help you.
It's like 3 nurses.
He could hold 4 tools
4
at once,
nurses.
no problem.
Yeah,
Easily.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think he might even be able to hold up to 8.
Might even.
Yeah.
he's got suction cups on
It's a
each
good
arm.
pick.
It's
a good
actually your
Thank you.
only good pick of octopus so far.
Yes.
Usually it's
in 107 episodes.
Fair enough. Fair
all right.
enough.
Forrest, you're up next. Put you in the middle.
Going this way, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Clarkwise.
All right, easy pick out of the gate for me. I'm gonna pick. There's Kyle's gonna have to look this up because I wasn't allowed to Google. There's a beetle that excretes like the stickiest substance on Earth.
Okay.
I forget what
Okay.
it's called. Stickiest organic
smart,
substance on
smart.
Earth.
Dung beetle.
Any suture, right? Anybody's
Okay.
getting a cut. Anybody's getting a scrape. That's what we're using. We're putting that. What was it there? Powder post beetle.
powder post
yeah, that might be
beetles.
it. Powder post beetle. We're getting powder post beetle on my team.
use that as a quick
We're putting
suture.
his butt slime in your wound, gluing it back together. It's the super glue of animals.
I think that's brilliant.
Okay.
you.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. I want to. Since Peter picked octopus, I'm also going to pick something I've picked a lot.
Okay.
But for a different reason.
Okay.
I'm worried that in the field I'm not going to have access to like a strong source of water. Like,
Sure.
And I mean, a lot of times people get stuff in their eyes. I don't think I'm going to have a very good eye wash station.
That's probably true.
Right.
Okay.
And someone gets something in their eye that can get bad. And
Yep.
I want to have a good eye wash station. So I'm going to start with I'm going to have a tank with an anglerfish in it.
Okay.
Not an anglerfish. But yeah, anglerfish.
Okay.
What's the one that shoots out the thing really?
Archerfish.
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 I want an archerfish. They're extremely accurate with shooting a little spout of water.
They are.
And it's going to sort of serve what they do is they shoot this little spout of water up to knock insects and things off of the leaf into the
where
water
this is
so they can
going.
eat it. So you get something in your eye, you go stand over the archerfish tank, emergency eye wash station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't you have is it my turn?
Oh, I go
me.
for 2. No, I go for 2.
It's you for 2. Yeah.
I forgot how these work.
Yes. Well, because
That's
we got
my
this
job.
confusing.
It's been a
direction.
while.
Yeah.
All right. Second, a little golden retriever puppy.
That was my next pick. I swear to God.
Really?
For emotional support, correct?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
God damn it. That was my
It's-
next pick. I almost went first because I was like, I want to take that off the table,
No.
and I was like,
Now I got the
now I gotta
little
think
golden
about it.
retriever puppy. The bottom line is I have no medical training of any kind.
Right.
I'm not very calm under pressure.
Right. True.
So it's not going to be a very good situation for you if you have a bad injury.
True. But there's a puppy.
The least I could do is have great bedside manner.
Yeah.
Put the little puppy in your lap. You cuddle with it. It makes you feel good.
That was, I swear to God, that exact reason was my next pick.
It's a good pick.
Take
That's
that away
why.
from me.
It's a great
All right,
pick.
Great pick.
So my next pick. So we've got our suture.
Yep.
Okay. If there's an issue, next pick, funnel web spider.
Okay.
That's
There-
fucking.
Is that where you're going?
You were
Well, I was
going with
going
that?
spider for sure.
Yeah, and the reason is obvious. They're
Yeah.
going to make you natural bandages.
Exactly.
Right. Anything goes wrong. And granted, the funnel web is a disaster of an animal, but they weave an incredibly powerful, well-shaped web.
Okay.
Broken arm, no problem. Just gonna cast that right in funnel web spider.
Well, no,
Smart. That's good
Yeah,
use.
I mean it's good, but I hope your next pick is something that handles something other than open wounds, because there are
this
other
is for
things,
a break.
broken bones.
This is for a break or a sprain.
Okay. I'm going
It's an
with
ace bandage.
I'm up for 2. It's an ace bandage. All right. I'm going to go with, since you took my spider, an elephant. That's right. Because A, they're very intelligent, very smart. B, my elephant's going to have a PhD in some form of medical care. And
That's
D,
helpful.
they have it's another hand with a trunk. They're very compassionate. They have a lot of empathy. And again, it's a good therapy pet to have.
There were
as
like
well.
so many better things you could have said. You could be like, it's great for transportation. They're strong. They can move stuff. They can go and get stuff.
Well, I mean, all of those things are there as well.
Right, but
It
you
just would have
didn't
been
think of those
added benefit.
things.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So elephant.
So I have an elephant, and then my next one is going to be, gosh, I just don't know. I think I'm I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go with that river dolphin because it's smart. It can communicate very well with squeaks and echoes.
Okay.
And
So
Very
wait,
big
what were your
tank.
3? We got elephant, river dolphin, and octopus.
yeah.
Okay.
So you're walking into Peter's tent going, well, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
No, they're all very friendly. They all
There's
have
no room for
PhDs.
me. He's got all
There's no
these
room.
gigantic
The
creatures.
Alice
Critters.
can stand under the elephant. It
Wait,
is the tent.
did you think we said we were opening a circus?
Yeah, I think that's what he thought the battle
Fair
was.
enough. I mean,
All right, how are you gonna
my,
run
my,
that?
third, my
Encyclopedic
third one
knowledge.
is a stretch, but I'm going to go for it. Okay.
Okay.
My third one is a hive of bees.
Okay.
Now, here's why. We're out in a remote location. We're in the jungle. I'm assuming this is a North American jungle.
It is. It is.
What they've shown is that the venom in bee stings is very similar to rattlesnake venom in super low quantities. And it's twofold. There's a reason why I'm going with bees. One is we'll start microdosing bee stings on all of us to build up our tolerance to snake bite venom, rattlesnake venom.
Got it.
And 2, it's also allegedly a cure for arthritis pain. And as I know, Peter is undeniably going to have terrible arthritis when he's old from all his time in front of his computer.
Yep.
I'm just assuming that it might kick in while we're out there, and I've got a hive of bees to sting his joints in case they have any
joints.
issues.
Yeah. The best defense is just is being prepared.
That's right.
You know,
That's
so
right.
yeah, microdosing bee venom. I think that's smart.
smart. I mean, it's definitely pretty good. Pretty good.
It's something.
Yeah.
Because of my lack of medical training, if someone comes in with a broken bone of some sort,
Yeah.
I'm just going to amputate it
Sure.
because I don't really know how to treat it, and I
Yeah.
think it's going to be best to just get rid of it.
Immediately get rid of the limb.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Broken
need some
finger,
help.
hands gone.
Yeah, I need it out of there.
Yeah.
So I want something that can help me with that, and I'm not going to go with a crocodilian. I don't want a spiral fracture on top of it.
Sure, that's going to add injury to injury.
So I'm just going to have a really, really well trained hippo.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say like a sawfish or something.
No, third strongest bite force in the animal kingdom. They're just gonna. I'll stick your limb in up to the point where I want it amputated.
Just a clean guillotine critter.
I'll give him the
hippos
word.
are-
Chomps down, and then
The word
we'll
trained.
suture it up.
Sure. Good idea.
Because I can learn how to suture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've sewed before.
I think you're onto something there.
This is anybody that's coming into any of these tents is going to have a really bad time.
Well, I mean, you're talking
not
about
with my puppy.
You're talking
Not
about
with
being
my
prepared
puppy.
for things. I mean, it's tough. We did not come prepared for this journey.
just-
We're doing what we can with what we got.
That's true.
When you're
That's
at the
true.
airport and you're departing for the jungle, and your set medic is bellied up to the bar talking to the young lady next to him,
You know he's not getting on the flight.
he's not getting on the flight.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That is true.
All right. Well,
good
let us
times.
know in the comments whose medical tent you would feel the most comfortable at.
Or what your best 3 medical animals are.
Either
I'd
one.
be curious.
Yeah.
I would definitely be curious.
Yeah.
Need
There's
to
probably
gain more
better ones
knowledge.
than what we came up with.
Definitely.
Definitely than a hippo and a
Now, here's the
an
thing.
elephant.
The brosteners
Exactly.
have the power of Google.
I know.
So my bar for their answers is a little higher.
Well, because they're cheaters. You're all cheaters.
Yeah,
You tried
exactly.
to cheat.
I tried to cheat because I couldn't remember. I've already forgotten the name of the beetle again.
I barely even knew the names of 3 animals,
That's
so it was
true.
tough for me.
Well, that's why what's his name hates you.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
What was
I
his
just wanted to
name?
remind you.
Charles? No, don't worry. I don't forget.
Yeah.
And you never
I shed a
forget.
tear every 3
Should we,
hours.
should we open a beer now? It's
I
like
think so.
nearly 10 a.m.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you got? We got some fat tires.
Yeah, let's have a beer.
Kyle, you need a beer?
Crack me open, mate.
Yeah, is this cut?
I thought that was sort of the end of it.
Oh, I didn't know if this was on air or not.
Cheers. Well, now we have to cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's enough.
Now we have to cut.
Well, we're gonna drink now.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the rest of the day.
Okay. Oh, sign off. Yeah, sign off. Sorry. What a good way to end the pod. Just give me the bottle opener.
Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that was fun. So happy you're here. Why are you being such a jerk, Pat? I despise you.
It's
Don't
my
laugh
character
at me.
I play.
Smug.
It's a character I play.
Yeah,
No,
what?
it's-
Hipster
it's
douchebag?
just me.
All right.
No, I just like the segue. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because it wasn't. My picks were horrible. I certainly lost. But if you like my picks, drop a comment. Check out the website where you can find all of the everything that we do at wildtimes.club/info.
He's going to bite you. He's going to bite you.
Oh, he's doing
all
the
of-
teeth.
Yeah, he
Don't do
doesn't like the
teeth,
butt.
Charlie
come
will be
on.
dressed up as a thylacine. We'll post that.
scary.
The YouTube is at Wild Times Pod, at Wild Times Pod everywhere else. And hey, check out the Patreon where we do 4 extra podcasts a month. Much more unstructured, raw, swears.
It's
all
hard to
kinds of
imagine
stuff.
more unstructured than this.
Yeah, if you like the podcast and you want 4 more a month, check
Go
out
to
the
the
Patreon.
Check it out.
Yep.
We love you guys.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Okay, now can I have my beer?
Yes.
Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Happy Monday.
You get a beer, Kyle? All right. Happy Monday.
You just came close to needing some sutures.
I saw that.
Yeah.
If you hadn't said something, you would have got me. You got me earlier when I got here.
Right.